Denzel Washington had always believed that fame wasn't just about the glitz and glam. It was about using that fame for something bigger, something that could change lives. His late mother had instilled that belief in him, often saying, "If you have the means, you have the responsibility." Those words stayed with him every day, especially as he drove through a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Los Angeles one afternoon. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the street. Most of the homes were well kept, but one in particular caught his attention. It stood out for all the wrong reasons. The paint was peeling, the lawn was overrun with weeds, and the roof sagged as if it had given up on itself long ago. Standing in front of the house, a small group of neighbors had gathered. Their faces were filled with concern, but there was one woman sitting on the porch who stood out. She was older, her frail shoulders hunched as she wept quietly into her hands. Denzel's heart tightened as he took in the sight. She reminded him of his mother, someone strong but worn down by the weight of life. Without hesitation, Denzel parked his car and approached the woman. A few neighbors whispered, some recognizing him, but he wasn't focused on them. He was focused on the woman, whose pain seemed to be so palpable that he could feel it in his chest. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said gently. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up at him, her eyes swollen from tears, her face a mixture of disbelief and recognition. "You're Denzel Washington?" she said, barely able to process it. "Yes, ma'am. But today, I'm just a neighbor. What's your name?" "Emma," she replied, her voice shaking. "Well, Emma, it's nice to meet you," Denzel said, lowering himself onto the porch step beside her. "Mind if I sit with you for a while?" Emma hesitated but nodded, wiping her tears with trembling hands. "What's going on, Emma?" Denzel asked, his tone soft but firm. For a long moment, Emma didn't speak, as though she wasn't sure how to put the weight of her pain into words. But then, with a sigh that seemed to carry years of grief, she spoke. "They're taking my house," she said, her voice breaking. "I've lived here for more than 40 years, raised my children here, cared for my husband in his final days. But after he passed, I couldn't keep up with the mortgage. His medical bills drained everything. And now, the bank says they're foreclosing." Denzel's heart ached for her. He thought of his own parents, who had worked tirelessly to keep a roof over his head. Losing a home, especially one where so many memories were made, felt like losing a part of yourself. "I'm so sorry, Emma," Denzel said, his voice filled with compassion. "But you're not alone in this. I'm going to help you." Emma blinked in disbelief. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." "Because we all need help sometimes," Denzel said, his voice steady. "And you've given so much to this community. It's time someone gives back to you." Denzel wasted no time. He immediately contacted his financial advisors, his lawyers, and even reached out to contacts at the bank. The process was grueling. Even someone with Denzel's influence had to jump through hoops and navigate a maze of bureaucracy. But he wasn't about to give up on Emma. Days passed. The negotiations were tense, and there were moments when Denzel feared they wouldn't succeed. But in the end, after a week of heated discussions and legal hurdles, the bank agreed to a deal. Denzel would pay off Emma's mortgage in full, allowing her to keep her home. When Denzel returned to Emma's house, she was sitting on the same porch, hands folded in her lap. He approached her, holding the documents in his hand. "Emma," Denzel said, his voice full of warmth, "your house is safe. It's completely yours now." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she looked at him, her voice thick with emotion. I don't know what to say. Why would you do this for me?" "Because you matter," Denzel said softly. "No one should lose their home after everything they've been through." Emma reached out and took his hand, her grip tight. "Thank you. You've given me back more than just my house. You've given me my dignity." But Denzel knew that Emma's home needed more than just financial security. It needed to be restored, to feel like a place of peace again. So he took it a step further. He organized a community event to help renovate her house. Word spread quickly, and people from all walks of life came out to help. As the house was transformed, so too was Emma's spirit. She began to open up more, sharing stories about her life, her children, her husband, and her work as a schoolteacher. The more Denzel got to know her, the more he admired her resilience and strength. One afternoon, while they were sitting on the newly restored porch, Emma smiled and looked over at Denzel. "You know, Denzel," she said, This house was always filled with love. I thought I lost that when my husband passed and the kids grew up and moved away. But you've shown me that love never leaves. It just finds new ways to come back." Denzel nodded thoughtfully, and this community proved that too. They came together because you matter to them, Emma, and you always will. Emma's story didn't just change her life. It sparked a transformation in the whole neighborhood. Denzel realized that this wasn't just about one person. The neighborhood, full of people struggling in silence, deserved more than a single act of kindness. He began to work with local organizations to support at-risk youth, small businesses, and families in need. One of his most impactful initiatives was a mentorship program for young people in the community. He partnered with schools and local professionals, giving kids mentors who could show them a different way forward. The program grew quickly, and soon the neighborhood began to thrive. Emma, once a recipient of kindness, became a leader in the program. With her background as a teacher, she was the perfect person to guide the next generation, just as Denzel had guided her. Years later, the neighborhood was unrecognizable. Young people who had once felt abandoned now had hope. Families were thriving, and the community was stronger than ever. Denzel continued to visit Emma regularly, and they often sat together on the porch, reflecting on how far they had come. Emma turned to him one evening, a smile on her face. "You know, Denzel, I never thought I'd see the day when this neighborhood would come together like this. You've changed so many lives." Denzel smiled, his heart full. "We changed them together, Emma. You were the spark that started it all. I just gave people a reason to believe in each other again." Emma's eyes twinkled. "I think your mother would be proud of you." Denzel's heart swelled with pride. His mother had always taught him the importance of compassion, and now her legacy was alive in ways he could never have imagined. In the years that followed, the neighborhood Denzel had helped to save became a symbol of what could happen when people came together to support each other. His small act of kindness had turned into a movement that reached far beyond Los Angeles. Emma's house, once on the brink of being lost, was now a symbol of hope, love, and the power of a community united. And as Denzel continued to visit, Emma's story reminded everyone that no act of kindness, no matter how small, could ever be wasted. The ripple effect of Denzel's intervention didn't just remain in that neighborhood, it spread across the city, across state lines. People who had once been cynical about the idea of helping others now believed in the possibility of change. They saw that it wasn't about grand gestures, but about the moments of connection, of truly seeing someone's humanity and offering a hand. The movement sparked by Denzel and Emma's story found its roots in a very simple truth, that a community is only as strong as the love and compassion it shares. Denzel, with the same humility and commitment that had always defined him, continued to inspire, knowing that even the smallest of actions could alter the course of many lives. Denzel Washington's efforts in the neighborhood went beyond just home renovations and mentorship. Recognizing that real change required more, he advocated for education reform, pushing for better resources in local schools, and collaborating with businesses to create job opportunities for youth. Slowly, but surely, the community began to see significant improvements. Emma flourished as a mentor, using her teaching background to guide the younger generation. Her home, once a symbol of despair, became a space of learning and empowerment. The mentorship program helped many children find direction and purpose, and the neighborhood started to transform from one of struggle to one of support and community. As the years passed, Emma's program expanded to other areas, and Denzel's message of compassion spread far beyond Los Angeles. People from various backgrounds adopted these principles of support, creating a lasting movement. Denzel often reflected on his mother's words, "If you have the means, you have the responsibility," realizing that his fame had never been about personal gain, but about making a lasting difference. One day, sitting together on the porch, Emma remarked, "We've shown people it's never too late to turn things around." Denzel agreed, noting that it only took one person to believe in others to spark a change. Their story continued to inspire, proving that no act of kindness is too small and no life is beyond hope.